Welcome to Broods, Money and Moods.
I'll count you in, sorry. In 5, 4, 3.
Welcome to Broods, Money and Moods with the 2 C's.
The podcast for all those raising multiples.
I'm Kathy, mom of 3 and money mentor. I'm here to help you demystify your finances and manage your resources.
And I'm Caroline with my brood of 4. I'll be looking at well-being and all things mindful. Think of us as your buggy buddies, helping to steer you through the chaos of raising your brood. In today's episode we have Saoirse, mum of toddler twins, 1 boy, 1 girl, and all this after having a singleton for over a decade. Let's jump in and find out how she's managing toddler times all over again, times 2.
I have a 12-year-old and I have twins who have just turned 1. And I'm a stay-at-home mum.
Right, round of applause. She's got the one. She's got the one. And you're stay-at-home mum. Yeah. I think that's the first thing. Is no matter what your circumstances is, whether you go on maternity leave, is it really important to be there the very first year? Yeah.
I think it is. It's having a good balance, I think, as well. It's being able to be there with them, but also finding time for you. Mm-hmm. You know, you could easily get wrapped up in constantly being at home and needing to do so many things because they need a lot of interaction and stimulation, and you can just get consumed by all that, and then before you know it, you've kind of lost yourself in amongst it all too. So you put a lot of pressure on yourself to be at home and see all these milestones and to teach them all these things, and then before you know it, you've just got caught up. A year's passed and you're like, what have I done with myself over this year for me as well? So it's important to be there with them, but I think it's very important to make time for yourself as well.
Yeah. And you just hearing you straight away, that's where your expertise is, isn't it?
Yeah.
In early years. Yeah. Your background's working in the nursery setting.
Yeah, so for 13 years I worked with children, and it was really, really fun, but I don't think I honestly realised how hard going it was to not only look after kids, but also to be at home with them. You know, I could go in at maybe 7:30, 8 o'clock in the morning, and then before I knew it, I would be waving them off and saying, have a lovely weekend, bye. Yeah. And I don't get to say, have a lovely weekend, and I don't get to say bye at 6 o'clock. I'm like, oh, right, okay, we're still here.
And there's nothing going into your bank account?
No, there's no extra.
Yeah. And even you just getting here today, you know, what was that like, you know?
So that was, so I have a 12-year-old previous that I had, and she is amazing, and got married and then decided, you know, we're going to try for a baby. Great, so exciting.
A baby, that's it. Isn't it always, a baby?
It's always a baby. So it was like, right, okay, you know, obviously this is going to work out, and couple of years passed and it wasn't working, and we realised then we were going to have to seek some outside help. Spoke to doctors. We ended up on the list for IVF, and then 2 weeks later found out that we were expecting, which was amazing. And we thought, a lot of people say that when you go on the IVF list, the stress comes off and you realise that there's no pressure and it happens naturally, and that's great, you know, if it can happen. So that was October, November time, and then December came, and 2 weeks before Christmas I got COVID, and was at home and was really, really ill. I didn't think I would ever be that sick, and thought, well, you know, I feel everything seems to feel just as normal as it was. And then a week before Christmas, ended up having a miscarriage. So we had been for a private scan a few weeks before that and found out that it was 4 and they were natural. It wasn't through IVF. So, you know, didn't really, I suppose you don't, when you haven't went through anything like that, you don't really think it's going to happen anyway. You just think, you know, there's a possibility, but we're fine. So I had the miscarriage a week before Christmas, went to hospital, and it was a missed miscarriage. And because I had COVID, had to go by myself, so my husband couldn't come with me. So, came out of that, done a round of IVF, didn't work, done a second round of IVF. it worked, went to the
So
hospital.
how quick after you had the miscarriage in Saoirse?
So we had the miscarriage in December,
IVF?
and in February we started the IVF. Didn't think that they would have started us that quickly, but they were happy enough for it to happen. And I had said, like, you know, because the first round didn't work, I said, would this be because the miscarriage? And they said, no, it shouldn't play a part in it at all. And I said, right, okay.
Looking back on that now and that time frame, what do you think about that yourself? You know, I'm just thinking, you know, even coming up the mouth of Christmas and you having to deal with that, and do you absorb it? You know, you just keep on functioning. You just keep on moving on, or
I came back from the hospital. I had to have a D&C, and I came back from hospital, and I remember driving home with my head down in the car. I couldn't really make eye contact with my husband.
Because you're there on your own, and you know, you're here.
And if I needed a drink of water, I had to press a button while I was waiting for the surgery, and people would have to come in with gowns and masks, and it was really hard to kind of process in the moment. And then I think I cried probably for the first month. Like every day I had a period where I cried, and then maybe I wasn't crying for maybe as long or every single day. And then I got sent away with lots of papers to speak to bereavement support and things like that, and I thought, you know, I don't really need it, and then I realised maybe I do. So I had spoke to somebody, and I had an appointment with her, and that really brought me back out of it. It was so amazing. It was one of the best things ever. She was the loveliest woman, and she gave me things to think about and to do, and for us to do as a family.
What do you think it was that was so good about that, just for you in particular?
I wasn't at home thinking about the same things. I was out of that place. I was in a new setting. I was sitting down with somebody. I was explaining the story, and I think my main thing was I was having to talk it out, whereas my husband knew the story, my daughter knew the story, and my mum did, and people didn't want to approach that. She made me speak to her, and she said, tell me what you're comfortable talking about. And I did. And she had a lot of expertise, but, you know, really, really simple things that she would say. Like one of the simplest things she said to me was, do you have somewhere that you could go to remember the miscarriage? And I said, no, you know, I was really early on. And she said, pick somewhere you can go to, bring flowers or a plant or something, you can do something. And, you know, it can be somewhere that you go. So every date or anniversary that it comes round, me and my husband going on the very first one we did, we both were really emotional. It really took its toll on us. And I came away and I felt like a weight had come off me. I felt like it was something I needed. I think we both needed as a family, and it really, really helped us immensely. So it was brilliant. That woman, I owe her everything.
Yeah. That's brilliant to hear. I'd never heard that. You know, as a processing tool.
I think because I just remember Kathy talking about her experience, and obviously there's things resonating here, and it was that the functioning, you just move into something else. And when you say Christmas, you know, you're bombarded with things around Christmas, and we usually just go, you know, into a heap after Christmas, don't we? And for you to have to deal with that, and then the next thing you're in another round of IVF. But I think it's just amazing to hear you saying that this is so valuable to people and their journey of that, you know, miscarriage, IVF, that there is these services there, and you to be seen as a person in your grief, because absolutely it involves the family. But for you, it's very, very specific, isn't it? Very individual. And you're always holding everybody else's grief as well around that. How they process, how are they managing being around me, and to have that space to be able to just be focused on you. And I think and what you need to be doing. You just, even as a woman, you feel like you have to be strong, and the man has to feel, he feels like he has to be strong too. Darren had said that, you know, he didn't know how to help me, he didn't know what to say, he didn't know what he was supposed to do. And I remember watching a documentary that Mylene Class had done on her husband. She asked him, you know, what was the hardest thing for you? Because you never think of the man in the process. And he said, the hardest thing I think for me was having to pick up the phone and tell our family that had happened. And I never thought about that. And then my daughter, we told her, because we thought, you know, we're having 4, this is a big, big upheaval, we need to give her a heads up. So like, how is she ever going to get her head around this? So we told her once we'd had the scan, and obviously the miscarriage had happened and she'd been at school, and I thought I had made the school aware, and I don't know, maybe just in my grief I didn't. And at one point she came home from school and the teacher pulled me and said,
she was crying today, and I said, oh, I'm so sorry. I thought I had told you. And she says, no, do not worry. Do not be, don't get upset. It's absolutely fine. She gave me a hug, which made me cry again. And she got into the car, and I said, are you okay? Is everything okay? And she says, I don't really want to cry in front of you. I'm really sorry. And I said, why? And she said, because I never see you cry. And I thought, why has she never seen me cry?
Yes.
My granny's
Yes.
passed away in this, in the last year. We've had a miscarriage. Why has she not seen me cry? Why do I feel like I have to hold it in? Why can I not just be raw and have my emotions? Because you feel like you have to keep it and
But
settle it
Saoirse,
all.
just you talk and you can really hear the awareness that you have.
Yeah.
And, your experience in working with children, just sometimes realise that it's just, we think we have to hold back our emotions.
Yeah.
And actually the best thing that we can do for our children is to expose them that it's okay to be sad.
Yeah.
It's okay to have
Yeah.
grief. It's okay to have anger.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's how we, it's sometimes we need help around how we express it.
Yeah.
So it is, just you questioning yourself and saying, why has she never seen me cry?
Yeah.
Because I hear that so much with women,
Yeah.
with mothers saying, I don't want them to see me like that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Whereas a child will know.
Yeah.
I mean, during the pandemic, my granny passed away, and my husband and our children were watching the funeral on TV,
Yeah.
and they were so uncomfortable. They said, to me afterwards, we saw you on TV, which was me obviously going up on my own, and it felt so lonely during the pandemic.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
they said, and Daddy was crying.
Yeah.
So they hadn't seen their daddy
No.
cry,
Yeah.
and my granny was probably like his granny to him,
Yeah.
so it's interesting that we're, that.
Yeah. But it's great, I think, the conversations you're having, that we need to hear that from each other,
Yeah.
as parents, that these tough issues are going to come up, and even the way your daughter, it was, she had to be outside of her house environment
Yeah.
to be able to let it out in
Yeah.
ways, and the two of you probably need to let it out together.
Definitely. I think it I think it brought us closer together, because
Yes, I
I think
imagine.
she realises it's not the end of the world if you just need to let it out. And I'd
Yeah.
say to her, you can go and have a chat with your teacher, and you can just let your emotions be free. And
Yeah.
if you don't want to do it with me because you think it's going to upset me, that's absolutely fine, but it will not upset me, and I will always be here with open arms, whether you're having a good day or a bad day. So please don't
Yeah.
feel like you can't.
Yeah.
So it's definitely
Yeah.
been a positive for us.
And how did she, you said she's just great,
Yeah.
how did she adapt to, the baby's coming along then?
She's been brilliant. She's been an only child for so long.
Yeah.
She's 12 now. It's a long time to be on your own,
Uh-huh.
and to just have all the attention or to do her own thing. And now she's to be mindful of her younger brother and sister. She's very good with them. She's very patient. She can never do enough. She's, do you need me to bring anything up? Do you need me to take one of them for you? Do you want me to put them in the pram walking around the street? If she can do things, she will.
Yeah.
And I can't wait till she's old enough to babysit so I can go out for a weekend. Just not even a night, a weekend. I can't wait, because I'm genuinely, I said to her, you're going to pay me back for all the times I've done things for you. So I can't wait.
Yeah. I know. I was just about to ask you, do you get a bit of time, you and her together? But there's the other question too, is have you found any time for yourself in this last year? Because you've said it's so important.
I know, and it is. I don't think I prioritise that enough,
Okay.
and I know I need to.
Yeah.
I'm on a social media page, and it's for twins or multiples. And my husband had said, he's thought about it quite a few times, where he has said, you don't get a break from the twins. You don't, like I said, there's no clocking in and clocking out. It's constant. So he would always say to me, you need to do something for you, whether it's going to be, you need to go for a walk, you need to go for a coffee, you need to go shopping, you need to get your nails done, your hair done. You need to decide what you want to do. It doesn't have to be the same thing every week. So I put a message into a group chat, and I just said, like, ladies, what do you do for you time? Where's your me time?
Yeah.
What do you do? Because I don't. I feel guilty. I feel like, well, if I take that hour out, I could have got the washing done and the hoovering done, and I could have got the shopping list wrote out, or whatever it is.
Yeah.
So he said it that many times that I felt a bit guilty when I'm thinking I'm ignoring him. So now I've been like, right, okay, I'm going to take a day, maybe this week, and go for a coffee. It doesn't have to be really expensive.
Yes.
It can be cost effective. It can be a walk. It can be going and sitting in the car park at the beach and just having a break.
Yeah.
So I haven't prioritised doing that, but I will.
Because you're saying about the guilt.
Yeah.
And actually, when I hear you saying it, what has motivated you to do it is for him not to feel bad.
Yeah, I know. That's true.
Yeah, but sometimes we need that. That's the first thing that we need to do to get us on that road to looking after yourself.
Yeah.
I'm like a broken record, and a lot of people will not know that phrase.
Yeah.
So we'll have to explain that, won't we? That's when you used to use LPs, and that's what your granny and your mummy used to say to you, or you'd hear them saying they're like a broken record. So we'll have to get for the Gen Z generation.
Jargon buster.
Is that what you call it? So, guess who's old school?
I used to actually go to yoga on a Friday night because every day was the same and I didn't know when the weekend started.
Yeah.
So on a Friday night I used to go to a yoga class opposite the Armo Park, Namnesty.
Yeah.
And it was lovely.
Yes.
Because, but the only bad thing was then I used to go downstairs and pick up a Chinese.
There you go, see. I'm doing
then
your hard
bring it
work.
home. So one totally defeated the other.
But that motivates you.
Yeah,
I'll
that's
go
it.
there and then look at something to eat.
Yeah, but it was just that every day seemed the
Yeah.
same.
Yeah.
And how do you break that up? And then on a Saturday, my husband used to work half day. So it wasn't really, he didn't have the family. We only had then the family day on a Sunday. And then he was off on a Monday and I was away back to work.
Yeah.
You know, so it sometimes, you know, you seem to have been quite reflective and aware and communicated
definitely.
between the two of
Yeah.
you, which is really positive and refreshing to hear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
You know,
needed.
It's great.
It is really needed.
Yeah.
The thing that I'm always saying, like a broken record to people, is the best way to look after other people, and this is where we've got it wrong a lot of the times, where we've been conditioned, is everybody else needs to be put first. But the very best way to look after anybody else is to start looking after you.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
very true. Very,
It
very
is,
true.
but we can pay lip service to that. But
Yeah.
now you said, yes, I know what you mean, and I could imagine you would say that to a parent.
Yeah.
You know, if you were looking
Well,
after their
sure, yeah.
children, that would be you would be saying that to
Yeah.
them. But to put it in place is
Yeah.
very different.
Yeah, okay.
Because you're not used to doing it.
No. No,
Yeah.
God.
Yeah, you're not used to doing it. And when you do it, what's it feel like?
Freedom. Like you come back with a whole new, honestly, it's, you know, even coming here today without having the twins has been like, I'll stay for a couple of hours. This is
wanna
so
leave
nice.
already?
Honestly, do you want teas and coffees? I'll do it all day. It's just, I think you come back with a different mindset. You know, you're ready to take on the
Yes.
tasks that are at
Yes.
hand that need to be done. Whereas you could just feel like you're going through a really long day of work. But I go away and then I come back and I go, I missed them, I missed you, I
Yes.
love you. And then you
Yeah.
can't wait to get stuck in and get doing things, and you're a lot happier and your mindset's completely different.
Because you can really feel like there's no beginning or end of your day. Yeah, and you need something like that. And I think that's the penny dropping
Yeah.
of when you come back, there's something that you realise that was worth doing, even though I resisted doing it.
Yeah.
To go out and even get that hour give me that bit of, it's a respite, isn't it?
Yeah.
You feel more refreshed. You say, I do miss you, because that's exactly what you need to keep continuing on.
Yeah, okay.
It's really, really important.
aim of it.
But I think what we need to, and I've got my other head on at the minute, is when we realise what's good that's working for us, it starts changing your brain.
Yeah.
That's the
Okay.
thing.
Okay.
Yeah. And we have to keep remembering when we're in it, this is great. That, like, where do you get that sense of freedom?
Yeah, no.
You know, where do you feel it in yourself? Like, I start breathing better.
My
when
whole
I feel-
body just, head to toe.
Yes. So it's really important to connect your head. You know, it's good for you, but my body is actually changing
Yeah.
as a result of that. and then going back, and then you see them and going, I'm delighted, like, I actually missed you. Even though I'm saying I need a break.
When's bedtime?
It's bedtime.
Let's take a short break now for Kathy's top tips on how to get yourself about with your buggy buddies.
As a parent of multiples, do you have more than double the cost? When you hear twins, triplets or more, is it the same as saying wedding and the price more than doubles? Lots of practical money-saving strategies are mentioned in this episode. Saoirse's key message was to work with what you've got. Such wise words from our second-time parent. On the financial front, this means working with the money you have available and accepting gifts or pre-loved donations. Remember your friend the measuring tape. Make sure you have the space available in your home, otherwise someone else's kind gesture will leave you a run to the charity shop or recycling centre, and we know you won't have time for that. When a pre-loved item is offered, take extra care when health and safety is concerned. Check the retailer hasn't recalled the item you're receiving. Since my twin baby days, it's now great to see resale sites where they list twin bundles for sale. Taking time out for yourself and as a family doesn't have to be expensive. Make the most of offers of help too. Connect with the people around you and be active. Find an activity that you enjoy and make a part of your life. Connect and be active. Buggy walks in your local park, a drive or train journey to your nearest beach, seaside town or forest walk. Check if your local cinema offers an early morning show where babes in arms go free. Check out child-friendly festivals. The Baby Rave and Festival of Fools were two of my favourites when my family were young. Becoming a parent, as we have heard, can involve upfront costs such as IVF and obtaining private scans for the reassurance expectant mums-to-be crave. Do check if existing private medical insurance policies you already have can cover the cost of any investigative tests. Always consult your doctor for medical advice. Having open conversations about money builds trust in a relationship. Discuss what might need to change, any sacrifices, financial or otherwise. This will help each parent feel secure and safe in the relationship. To build financial security, it is important to consider what you will fall back on. How will you cope and bounce back? Some further considerations for you. How will you manage on a reduced income? Know your numbers, know what's coming in and what's going out. When you have assessed your monthly commitments, create a spending plan. During maternity leave, can you maintain pension contributions or any other employee benefits? Calculate the cost of childcare and seek additional financial support that you may be entitled to. Last but not least, how will you safeguard your financial well-being? Ensure your family are protected if ill health or death occurs while your children remain dependent on you as parents.
And is there a bedtime in your house?
Oh, there is a bedtime. It's just not a continuous bedtime.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's great.
So
Bedtime
what
comes
is
and
the
goes.
sleep? You know, is there walkies at night and
We've done everything. We've tried it all.
Is there any better sleeper? Because you've the boy and girl twins.
Yeah, so Grace is a better sleeper. Oliver would be the one who would be a bit more resistant. Not for going, well, for going down, I suppose, yeah. They used to be great up until about 6 or 7 months. They were great. And then it just, like, they would sleep all night. And I made the mistake. I said to people, they sleep great. They're brilliant.
You think you scud yourself?
I used to tell parents in the nursery, don't talk about the sleep. Don't say the word. Don't even go there. It's like you don't say the Q word in a shop for people at work. You don't say the Q word. You say quiet. It just fills again. So you don't say sleep. And they slept and they were brilliant. And then they got sick coming up to Christmas. They were sick over Christmas. It took till after Christmas till they got better. And it's just been a nightmare since. So bedtime would be maybe between 7 and 8. Sometimes we've tried to push it later. We've kind of changed it up quite a few times. We've done everything we can. We've done baths before bed. We've done walks. We've done later dinners, bigger dinners. We've done quite a few different things, and it has still resulted in being up at some point throughout the night. But we're healthy, so I'll take it. And every day I'll say, tonight's going to be a better night. Tonight's going to be a better night.
Yeah, yeah. I think I remember with my first, he didn't sleep till he was 3 and 2 months.
Okay, I'm going.
Sorry, no, I know. As I said, but I'll throw in some good news along the way as well. It's one of those dicey conversations. And it was waiting, this is going, has to get, it's more like you keep telling, it has to get better, has to get better. And that was my milestone. He went into playgroup. So I said, oh, that's what makes it, that's what fixes it.
Yeah.
That's what fixes it. So then, really, really lucky with my daughter, girl, they do tend to sleep a bit better. That's not generalising them all. And then the boys, and I says, am I going to have to wait till 3 and 2 months? Because the memory was so vivid about that. But I did learn along the way with people's, you know, it's about the acceptance around it. The more you pay attention to it, around the sleep, you torture your own self around it. And it's, you know, when you do get a night, that was a great night. I wasn't expecting that. Because it's so random, because once they're sick, it just breaks it all up again. You go, I worked so hard to get them into that routine. You was there, I was there. I know, and you don't want to say that.
Then you think, I remember trying porridge at night. It was like if they had lead in their belly, then with that, keep them asleep.
Done it all.
Yeah.
I think my mum said to me, when you were younger, you know, we used to give you porno. I'm like, I don't think you can do that these days. It doesn't work that way. What do you think?
I know. So lots of challenges, obviously, in the first year. But any surprises, you know, because you have loads of experience around children. And
yeah, did you feel prepared because of your background in childcare?
No. Serious?
Yeah.
You know, I know how to change a nappy. You know, I know how to play with kids. I know that toys need to be rotated. I know that fresh air is amazing for them. Nothing can prepare you for having multiples. Nothing can. Like, people can have twins close to you and you still won't know until you have them yourself. Because your experience, mine will be completely different to either of yours. And I know that. I think I was so in my head, because I have a 12-year-old, I was like, she is the best sleeper. She's so well-mannered. She has never given me any trouble. She works hard at school. She likes to read. And all of these things I put down to me being so amazing. I made her so good. You know, I learned all these things through being in the nursery and seeing things that other parents did, and I picked up wee tips and techniques. So when the twins were coming, them tips and techniques were going to be used. Nope.
Have you still got the list?
I've got a list, as long as
we'll be giving out on the show notes.
Honestly.
Sources.
Honestly.
Sources strategies.
Everything. It's just, you
Source
could get
of the
talking.
sorcerer.
I am telling you, so many parents. And I remember one parent saying to me at one point, I had babysat for her years and years ago. And I said, he is so good. He is so, so good. And I would never say it to anybody now, but I had said, he is the best behaved wee thing. Would you ever have thought, you know, we'll have another one? And she just looked me dead in the eye and went, there is no guaranteeing the next one will be just as good. And I was like, oh, well, that's true. And it never ever dawned on me until the twins came along. And my mum always used to say to me, you've no idea how good she is. And I go, she's good because of me. Now the twins are here. Oh, a full night's sleep would be like heaven. Just one full night's sleep. But, you know, when they wake up and they peek over the cot and they smile at us and they get excited and they do all the wee things that they do, or they learn a new thing, or they're walking, like for so long they would sit beside each other in their prams or on, you know, on the floor in the cot and hold hands, and I would just look at them and my heart would melt. You cannot get enough of that, and there's not a price you could put on it either. So if they're not sleeping and they're giggling at each other in the cot at 2 o'clock in the morning, it's not the best time, but I'll take it. I appreciate it all, and I'm so grateful because it's taken us so long to get to it as well. So.
Yes.
Yeah, there's
you
something
count your
about
blessings.
those special moments is it makes up for it, doesn't it? It is very, very different experience when you have two of them and they just reach out to their hands to each other, and you just melt.
Didn't last very long, I have to say, because Oliver does trail Grace down by the hair, but you know, we'll take it when we can get it.
Yeah, and then when you get the inside to side,
buggy or anything yet?
Yeah, because I'd heard quite a few people saying if you get, you know, one in front of the other as they get older, there'll be a fight over who's in the front because they want to see everything. So you weigh up all your options. Do we want one in front of the other so we can fit through all of the doors, or do we want two side by side so they don't fight, and you know, we'll just take our chances with every shop that we get to. People think I work in Next because I have to move things to get into Next.
Well, it is a real challenge, isn't it, in the shops?
IKEA is the best. If IKEA would like to sponsor us, we'd be more than happy. But
the best place to go with double and triple prams.
Yes. It's a whole day out.
And it's so colourful.
Kids learn so much.
Feeding areas, you know.
Yeah, it's so parent friendly.
I had one of each. I was given a pram that, you know, the one in front of the other. I don't know if we call it the train pram or the double. So we had one of each, and you know, but it's even that, you know, the stress of actually working the pram and how do you use the pram, and those moments of panic where, you know, someone's crying, they're needing fed, and you actually can't work out how to use your own pram.
Just everything goes out the window.
And did you it was the same, one of my friends hated coming into my house because there was so much of everything. Yeah. So there was always about at least 2 prams sitting. There was walkies. There was mosey baskets. It was sensory overload.
Like Smiths?
Yeah, like Smiths. And that you had to, is there any possibility somebody would take one of them out, so then you had a single buggy? So it's not just the cost of one, sometimes this is the thing that the rolling effect of the cost.
Yeah.
So what do you think yourself, Kathy?
Yeah, well, you haven't returned to work,
No.
so, you know, so that, how have you been able to manage, or do you just, you know, say, look, this is what we're doing at the moment?
It's just what you have to work with. You have to work with what you have,
Yeah.
basically. You know, I try my best to be really sensible. You know, a lot of people will give us a lot of things. A lot of people have kids, God love Oliver, he doesn't get as much because so many people around us have had girls.
Girls, you always get loads of girl stuff,
so
definitely.
Much. I have to say, she has probably more clothes than any of us in the house, to be fair. That
People
child
love
so
band
much.
for girls.
Don't they? Don't they? The love, I have to say. So, you know, we've been really lucky that way. And, you know, I don't have to have the best of the best. It doesn't have to be the most expensive. It has to be the right thing for the twins, and it has to make sure it fits in the house, because it might be amazing, but if it's too big and I need 2 of them, it's not coming home with me. Even.
Do you think it's even you being a second time mummy, you do become a bit more wiser? You don't think so much that everything has to be brand new. Would you have been the same if twins had been your first? Would you have had the same attitude towards it in terms of, you know, taking stuff that's given to you?
Yeah. Kids are so expensive. Kids are so expensive. Love them, but they're like, they suck the money out of you. It's crazy. Yeah. Everything. I read something the other day, and it said, when people hear twins, it's like the word wedding came up, and everything's doubled in price. You know, everything is extra, and you just think to yourself, how are we ever going to afford all this? Because they need it. It's essentials. It's a double pram. It's, you know, we had 2 friends that gave us 2. Not that everybody likes to use them, 2 bottle makers. I have twins, I have to use bottle makers. I don't have time for all of that. Now, they're not on formula anymore, but in the middle of the night when they're waking up, do they have time for me to go downstairs and boil a kettle and to do all things like that? Yeah. And they're not cheap. So 2 friends give us 2 bottle makers. We'd one upstairs, we'd one downstairs.
Brilliant.
Perfect. Worked out wonders for us.
Yeah, and I think that's it. You know, you know, we all know breast is best, but sometimes it just doesn't work out for people. Yeah. I tried with my 3 pregnancies, and nobody really told me, and I had an underactive thyroid that was going to impact it on your milk. But I remember one of mine was in neonatal, and the other one came home, and I just knew that was the way it was going to work out. Just me, I'd be lucky if the 2 of them come home at the same time from the hospital. So because he neonatal, he didn't go back to breastfeeding. and the other one, he was with me at home, and he took some. And I remember at the time it was more the cuddling that he liked. He wasn't really getting anything.
Yeah.
So I was right, put him on, heat up a bottle, and I remember going, if I had them, you know, all those years ago with my first, how would I have done it without a bottle maker?
Yeah.
Because it was just so convenient, you know.
It really has.
I've never seen
and I think that's why the
yeah.
breastfeeding's so convenient as well,
Yeah.
isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, Kathy breastfed all. Didn't
I
you breastfed all
breastfed
yours?
my girls until they were 1.
Wow, well done.
Yeah.
So it was a rugby
Twins as well.
pose.
Yeah.
Hard
Was-
going. Yeah, it's hard going. Fair play to
But
you.
I think it was a bit like you, that they were so hard to come by, that then I thought, well, this might be the only ones that
Yeah.
we have. So, and then I'm that type of person. I think somebody said, oh no, sure, you couldn't feed twins yourself.
Yeah.
And then I got a book.
I'll show you.
yeah, I'll show you.
Running down the street.
The worst one was when we were out and about and they both needed fed. So
Yeah,
we were in a
yeah.
coffee shop and I had to then turn to
back
face
to
the
everybody.
wall and say
you're-
then, well, pass me the other one. So
Enjoy
it was
your coffee.
literally
Yeah.
just
What do you do?
topless. Well,
I think you're even doing that
waitress-
now. You're reenacting that, Kathy. Stay away from the camera.
The waitress came over and was taking everything off the table because obviously we weren't, you know, eating or drinking
No.
anymore because we were a wee bit busy.
Yeah, technically there was
Yeah.
2 eating and drinking.
Yeah, absolutely.
So she came over and cleared off everything, so with nothing, it was like, right, can you leave
Make it
now?
obvious.
It was before those signs used to go up in
Yes, the
cafes.
We're
Right.
happy to allow
Yeah.
people breastfeeding in here.
Yes.
We support it.
Yes.
But, you know, no topless sunbathing, please.
But do you ever give yourself credit for those things, you know, that you're able to manage it? And that's, we're always having these conversations. You know, you have a plan in your head and you'd need to go to plan B, C, D, E.
Yeah.
And do you ever give yourself credit for that? That you're not living your life in plan A, it's always in plan B.
You're never, it's whatever plan they want.
It's whatever
Yes,
plan, yep.
yes.
You know,
absolutely.
I was the same where I was breastfeeding the twins, and at one day, Darren had to leave. I think he was going to the shop, and the two of them, like on cue, heard the door go and went, "We want fed," and I went, "No, not on my own. What am I supposed to do here?" And I wasn't able to get the two of them to latch on together, and I was just so stressed and just managed to get it. And I was like, I'm taking a picture of this because this is probably the only time this is ever going to happen. Took a picture and sent it and went, "Look what I done. I'm so proud of it.
Proud,
We
yeah,
did
yeah.
this. I was so proud of myself because getting them to breastfeed was like one thing because I couldn't really do it as well with Amelia 12 years ago, and I really wanted to try it with the twins, and I knew it was going to be hard work. I knew it was going to be, you know, you need to eat and drink so much, you need to keep yourself hydrated, you need to be eating so much, you need to do it throughout the night, even if they're not up, if they're sleeping, you still need to express to keep it going, to keep the flow going, and I was like, this is a lot, and then I just wanted to be so proud of that moment. So I still have that picture. I can look back and go, look what we did. That's such a real bonding moment for us. I loved this. It was amazing. So
I'm just delighted, you know, listening to you, Saoirse, that for the listener, to hear that. It's really important to build up your own self-efficacy. You know, you see what is working well for you.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter about anybody else.
No.
That's what's working well for you and your family, and having those moments and just saying to yourself, kudos to me, you know, I did that, yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
So we could sit here all day. I could definitely sit all day.
Are we not?
You can
She's
stay.
forgot about
Where's
she's
the
had twins.
The twins.
I know, just sitting down sometimes and talking to adults and finding your own people just feels like
It's a whole
socialising, doesn't
community.
it?
Yeah.
It really
Yeah.
is.
It
You
is.
see
Yeah.
somebody with twins in a shop or out for a walk, and you go,
Yeah.
are they twins? I'm not here to bother you, but I get it, and you're doing a really good job.
Yeah.
Someone stopped me one day and said that to me, and it felt like a hug. It just felt like the nicest thing to have
Yeah.
somebody say to me, you're doing a great job. And I was
Yeah.
like, you've never met me before, but it was just the effort of getting dressed and getting out of the house with my twins that were 7 months old at that
I know,
stage.
even you just said it's just the effort. There's nothing that you can minimise because every part of it is a big task, isn't it? especially to get all of it to get through the doors.
Yeah, just even go shopping.
I just can't wait to hear what the journey's been when
Yeah.
they're 2,
Yeah.
3, 4.
Yeah.
So you're going to stay in touch?
with
Oh,
us.
definitely.
Yeah,
Definitely,
gonna-
because you're going to keep me right, because you're a few steps ahead of me, so I'm going to ask
think
you what to be worried about.
You seem much more grounded than I would.
I think definitely, Saoirse, you're going to keep a lot of us right, and we know it's really busy. You know, really appreciate you coming here today. It's not just about you getting here and time and the time to do this. It's a whole lead up, isn't it?
Oh,
It's
yeah.
a whole day's work
Oh,
to
yes.
get here. So really thank you for coming.
Yes, really appreciate it.
I've loved this conversation.
Yeah.
And if we couldn't get you back in again, maybe just to see how you are getting on, you know, a bit down the line, maybe 3-6 months, and if we could maybe even get a call in with you while we're in a session.
Definitely.
That's my work word session in an episode.
Yeah.
Love it. No,
Yeah.
thank you for
Up
having
for
me.
that?
Yeah, definitely. Oh, I'm coming back, definitely.
Brilliant.
Thank you.
Well
Thank
done.
you.
That's it for now from Broods, Money and Moods. Before we go, here's Caroline with some final reflections on today's conversation.
There was many momentous moments in today's episode as Saoirse gave her pearls of wisdom in her parenting journey. One of the areas that she touched on was having some space to process her emotional challenges and trying to prioritise time for herself. It's important in this journey for parents, particularly the mother who spends so much time with the babies on her own, to find some me time. Saoirse talked about the multitude of tasks, not just on a daily basis, but on an hourly basis when raising twins. We all know how important it is to keep ourselves healthy and well, but how do we find the time in a day when 24 hours doesn't seem enough with all that needs to be done? If we consider the amount of tasks in a day, then multiply that by 2, even 3 or 4, it's an immense load. But do you ever recognise it? Only by paying attention to this and acknowledging all that you do in a day will help you to reinforce the importance of finding some space to attend to yourself. So how do we find time, the space to come back to ourselves? The more we can acknowledge the task completed, the more we will justify the necessity to protect our own space. Saoirse suggested some opportunities to get some head space. Another strategy that can be helpful when we're overwhelmed with the demands of parenting is just to put our backs up against the wall. The body starts to feel supported by the wall, and it can help to tone down the sensory overload that goes on when we feel overwhelmed by our demands. It's just a small opportunity to be more grounded in the moment, to settle our nervous system down and tune out other senses for a few moments. It can help bring us back into the here and now, rather than thinking, how am I getting through the whole day, or worse, the whole week. Try to stay away from the negative thinking called discounting the positive, and lean towards considering all the tasks that you do as a sense of achievement. Be kind to yourself, recognise all that you do, nothing is small. Go a bit further, and if we can't find the time right now for a break, remind yourself to look forward to maybe a hot shower later. Put a timer on the phone or a reminder for a time when this is more realistic. Something small to look forward to or work towards. Modelling self-care teaches your children valuable lessons about boundaries and self-worth. By prioritising yourself occasionally, you show them that taking care of your mental health is just as important as any other responsibility. So try giving yourself permission to step away and recharge. Remember, the best gift you can give your children is a happy, healthy you.
And it's so colourful.
That's it from us today at Broods, Money and Moods. Hope you've enjoyed this episode. If you are a parent of multiples or a multiple yourself and would like to take part in our podcast, please do get in touch at hello@broodsmoneyandmoods.com. Like and subscribe now so you don't miss any episodes.